Hi guys, my name is Zia or Zaya, whichever one you want to call me, and welcome to my channel. If you are new to my channel, welcome to you too. If you are returning, thank you for coming back. So I have no makeup today on my face because I felt like my skin was a bit sensitive and I didn't want to put makeup on because I am eczema prone and I don't want to get a breakout before Eid. That would be tragic. So yeah, no makeup today. And plus I'm just like tired. Like it's nearing the end of Ramadan. There's only 4 days left, and yeah, I'm literally surviving on little to no sleep on some days, like 3 hours here, 3 hours there, naps 2 hours here. Yeah, so but anyways, if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you click the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to comment on this video, like it and share it with your friends. Also get your bell notifications on for my future videos. Let's get this video started. So it's Thursday and it's review day, so let me get started on the first episode, which is episode 31, Mqoqi, the reincarnation of Usambulu. That's the title. So it opens up with Mqoqi, and he is it's at the taxi rank, basically where it ended last week. It picks up there at the taxi rank. And so Mqoqi didn't shoot Gwaza, but yeah, he's shooting like all the men that belong to Gwaza's team. So yeah, he's shooting everybody and they start scattering, like they run, and Ngoba's like left there at the pole and he keeps on screaming, don't leave me, don't leave me. And Geja is shot. So Geja is shot on his arm by Mqoqi, and yeah, he lets go of his gun and puts it on the floor. And then Mqele runs to Ngoba and he's about to untie the zip ties, and then Gwaza comes to them and he points the gun at Mqele and he's like, how lucky I am to have both of you here at this time. And he says a little bit of his clean name, and then Kusana and them decide to finally come out from where they were hiding. And they come out and Kusana is pointing his gun at the back of Gwaza's head, and then Qhawe goes to where Geja is hiding behind their car and points the gun at him, and then stands him up and brings him closer to his brother, and then they make them kneel like they did Ngoba. And then Ngoba's like to Mqele, untie me, like he's like screaming, and then he's screaming at them to shoot them, like Babula Libuti. And yeah, they don't kill them. But Gwaza is like, oh, you're such a coward, Kusana, you're gonna come behind me and point me with a gun. Why don't you come in front of me and face me? So basically they don't shoot them. That happens, and then it goes to the house. Then it goes to the house, and Mahlomo's still trying to call, so they're all just like worried, and Zaya and Mandisa looking at the phone, and Mandisa, Zaya's just like, why did it cut off? So the feed to the live stream cut off, and then Zaya's like, oh, probably the person who was shooting the video ran away. And yeah, so no call, nobody's answering anything. And then it goes to before that it goes to Mqoqi, and he's coming down the stairs of where he was at the building, because he was at the top of a building because he's a sniper. And then so he's coming down the stairs, and he gets out of the door, and then he does like a little prayer. So the Catholic prayer, he does that, and I guess to ask forgiveness from God for what he just did, so for his sins. And then it goes to and then as they are busy worried about the guys and the feed being cut off, they hear a car approaching into the yard, and then Mahlomo was the first one to walk out, and so it's just like Hlomo, and she just like walks out, like she doesn't even know who it is, but yeah, she goes, and everybody basically goes to their person, and then they ask like, are you fine? Everyone's just like, yeah, I'm fine. And then it goes to Zaya and Kusana going into the bedroom where the body is. And then Kusana's just like, what happened? And she's like telling him basically the story of what happened and how she got mad at him, yeah, saying that he was gonna go and report her because of how she got out of jail, so yeah, she couldn't let that happen. And then she's like, so what are we gonna do? And he's like, no, I'll fix it, like he's always saying I'll fix it. That is his favorite line, Kusana, I'll fix it. And then it goes to, oh, and then she asks him like, are you fine? And then he says yes, he's fine. Like the way they're acting, everybody in the house, they're acting like Sambulo didn't just die, guys. Like, I don't know if they forgot about it, but like in this family, even the last time when Mbande and Mvelo died, it was like nothing happened. It was literally like nothing happened. And I don't know, but yeah. And then it goes outside again, and Mkhele and Mahlomu, so Mkhele still has his hand over Mahlomu's waist, and yeah, she's like asking, are you fine? And he's like, yeah, he's fine. And then Ziga's like, how? Where's Mkoki? And like I'm trying to call him, but he's not answering. As he's saying that, Mkoki drives in, so Qhawe goes to him. Mkhele tells Mahlomo to go inside the house and goes to Mkoki, and they're like, dude, where do you come from? And he's like, I had to go to church. And they're like, Haibo, so you call Owen? And he's just like, no, but I had to go to church after I did what I did. Did you guys just think Uti, the Majola guys were getting shots by air? Or like whatever? I did that. It was me who did that. And they're just like, what? And he's like, yeah, Sambulo has been training me for months and he promised me not to tell you guys, so I didn't tell. And Tinga's like, oh, that is why you've been disappearing with Sambulo, because you were doing that. And he's like, yes. And then Tinga's like, but by the way, where is Usambulo? And they keep quiet. And he's like, no, but like, where is Usambulo? And then Mkhele, you can tell like he's getting like emotional, and then he breaks the news that Usambulo Seyashil, and Nsia breaks down basically as always. And then it goes inside the house. There's a man picking up a laptop from Mahlomo, and Mahlomo tells him that she basically rebooted everything in the laptop. And then the guy's like, okay, sharp. He goes out, and then it goes to the informer. Gets to the informer, the guy goes to Lux's office with the laptop and says, yeah, this is the laptop. And Mahlomo says she deleted everything. And Lux is like, is there a possible way of retrieving any of the deleted documentation and any of the deleted files? And this guy's like, yeah, it's possible, but it's going to be difficult. And he's like, okay, do it. If it's doable, do it. And he's like, okay, cool. And then it goes to the house, and it's Mandisa and Ngoba is telling her that he knows what she did. And Mandisa's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, yes, you know what I'm talking about. The guns that you planted in Sambulo's office are the reason why we are here today. The reason why my brother is dead. And then she's like, I am so sorry. Like, they came to me and she explains the whole situation of how it happened, how the guys came to her and said they wanted to put Ngoba back into the seat of being chairman, and didn't tell her that they were planning all of this. And Ngoba's like, I can't. You literally had my brother killed. This is your fault that my brother is dead. You need to tell my brothers. And she's like, what? Are you crazy? Your brothers are gonna kill me. And he's like, no, they're not gonna kill you, but they need to know the truth, because that's just how it is. They just need to know the truth. And she's like, no. And he's like, no, don't worry. Like, you'll be fine. I'm just going to go and call them so you can tell them. And he's like, wait here. He goes inside the house, and Mandisa's like, 1, 2, 3. I am not waiting for 4. She dips. Nova goes inside the house, and then it goes back to Lux watching the heist video. and then he says it's them. And Buntle knocks on the door and comes in, and he's like, close the door. So she closes the door, she sits down, she's like, what's up? He's like, how well do you know the taxi boss who died at the taxi rank? And she's like, oh, Sambulo. I just heard about that. And he's like, his brothers. And she's like, called much? And he's like, well, what? They're not my family. Hey, wow. He is really a piece of work. So he says that, and every time someone dies in the Zulu family, he always thinks of a story. And then she's like, all I know is that they own taxis, and that's something that you also know. And he's like, what about Klomo? Like, what has she said to you? And she's like, I don't feel comfortable with this conversation. Like, Klomo's my friend, and I'm not gonna write a story about her. I'm not gonna get information just to write a story and sell papers. And then she leaves him, and she stands up and she goes out, and he's just like thinking of ways. I can tell that he's thinking of ways of how to get the information that he wants. And then it goes to Zah, and she gets a call from her aunt. Her aunt is basically asking where her dad is. And she says, no, he left. Like, he's not here. He left. Well, he's on the floor, dead. But she says, no, he's not here. He left, like, a long time ago. And she's like, but, like, he hasn't arrived. And I'm trying to call him, and it goes to voicemail. So I'm really, really worried about that. And she's like, oh, you know, maybe it's just, like, network, Andy. Like, yeah, he's probably going to show up. And it's like, hey, maybe usole izangapho, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't have a good feeling about this. And then she says, no, like, I'll try and find him also. Like, I'll call him and see if I can find him, and then I'll call you back. And then she's like, hey, okay. She hangs up, and then she's looking at Kusana, and Kusana's like, I'll fix it. Mr. Fix It. Okay. And then it goes to Ngoba, and he collected the family members. So he is literally telling everyone to follow him. So Mkhele is like, Ngoba, where are we going? And Ngoba's just like, Mkhele, like, patience, like, wait. And they get out to the garage where Mandisa is supposed to be, and there's no Mandisa. And then Ngoba's just like, what the... And then he goes to the garden. He's like, how? Where is... And Qhawe's like, you know what? We have better things to do here. Like, and he's like, wait. Where is Mandisa? And this guy is like, Mandisa went out the gate. And he's like, what? And you let her leave? And he's like, well... And then my son was like, what's going on here? And he's like, patience, sister-in-law. Like, patience, makoti, ngizongitshela. And then he's like, no, we need to go and look for her. We need to find her. So everyone's just like confused on what's going on. And then my son was like, oh, I think that's Buntle. So Buntle's driving in. And then she's like, no, let me just go to her. So she goes to Buntle, and then it goes to them getting into the house. And Buntle's like, I'm sorry, I came unannounced. And also, like, I'm sorry, I haven't been around to see you. You know how work has been very busy. And she's like, no, it's okay. And then she's like, how are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, what can I say? And then she offers her condolences for Usambulu. And she's like, oh, thank you. And she's like, how are you feeling? She's like, oh, well, siyangcenga and yes now. And then she's like, immediately, you know, Lux is asking questions. Like, he's asking weird questions about you and your family and everything. And she's like, what kind of questions? Like, is he writing a story? And she's like, I don't know. But like, once I find out, I will let you know. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, Buntle's such a good friend. But my tune quickly changed afterwards. And she's like, yeah, no, I'll tell you immediately when I find out. And then she's like, oh, plus I brought something for Naya. I've been such a bad aunt. And she's like, oh, we are cool as. And yeah, they carry on with the conversation. And then it goes to Kusana in the bedroom with Zah. And Zah's just like, what happened to the body? Because the body's not gone. And Kusana's like, I dealt with it. You don't have to worry about that. Like, it's dealt with. And as they are having the conversation, and Zia knocks on the door and says, there's cops looking for Kusana, wanting to talk to him. And he's like, I'm a police. It's like, yeah. And then he goes out, and Zaya's just like, how are you? Fine? Are you fine? And he gets there to the cops, and the cops are just like, oh, so we received a call from someone who sounded very distressed, and they were asking questions about your babungqobo. And Kusana's like, yeah, we've been trying to call him also, and I think we told the person that he left here a while back and said he was going back home. So yeah, we haven't been able to reach him since, like his phone hasn't been going through. And it's like, yeah, no, we need to search your home just to make sure that everything's fine. So Za's like listening in on this conversation, and Kusana's like, yeah, sure, you can search the house, it's fine, but right now we are dealing with a death in the family. So yeah. And then the police is like, okay, no, we will come back and we will do the search, and thank you for your time, basically. And then they leave, and Zaya and Kusana have a little bit of a conversation. I wasn't really paying attention, so I'm sorry. And then it goes to Kusana. He's at the prison, he's visiting Musa, and he is telling her what he should be telling his wife. Like, I don't understand why he has to divulge things with Musa instead of speaking to Zaya. But anyways, yeah, they having a conversation about that, and then he says to her that he's going to be gone for a while and probably won't be able to call her or like come to see her, so like he had to come and let her know. And then she's like, okay. And then as she is about to tell him about her cellmate, the guard comes in and says time's up. So Kusana's just like, what about her? And it's like, yeah, no, I guess we'll talk about it when you come back. So yeah, he gets out, they leave, goes to Matomo, and she's feeding baby Naya, and Mkhele comes in and he sits down next to her and he asks her if she's fine, and she's like, yeah, she's fine, but like she's very, like she's miles away, like she's thinking, she's deep in thoughts. Mkhele's like, hey, what's wrong? And then she's like, hey, relax, ngathi uyathanda ukuzigaxa endabeni zethu. And Mkhele's like, relax, the guy that works with you? And she says yes. And he's like, what is he asking about us? And she's like, about our business, about us, the family, about everything. And he's like, ngoba. And she's like, angazi ngobani. And maybe kunestora sibalayo, and ngiyamazi once he gets started in his digging, he never stops until he finds out what's happening. And he's like, uyazi Thando sami, kunezindlela zokuvimba inja from ukupha. And she's like, Zulu, khuleka, ngizoyilungisa mina. And then he's like, okay. And then she says, oh, I'm gonna go and bathe the baby. And he says, no, I'll do it. And like, okay. It's like, yeah, no, don't worry, I'll do it. I think you just need to rest before our trip. So yeah, I'll bathe the baby. And then he takes the baby and he goes. And then it goes to Musa, and she's talking to the guard who just took her out of the visiting rooms, and she is trying to negotiate something with her. So they get to her cell before she can actually say what it is that she wants this person to do for her. And she says Kusana is going to compensate you well. And then her cellmate is like, what's going on here? And she's like, nothing. And then this ward acts like she wasn't about to have the conversation that Musa wanted to have with her, and starts staring at her and calling her names, whatever. And then this girl's like to Musa, you told? And Musa's like, no, I didn't tell anyone. And it's like, and she's like, no. And then yeah, she starts talking to herself again. She has another episode. Ooh, I don't know what's going on with that one. Schizophrenia, definitely. And then it ends there. And then it goes to episode 32, which is a cleanup. The cleanup. it opens up with the Majolas, and they are tied to the ceiling. So it's like chains, and yeah, their hands are tied to the ceiling, and they are bloody. So Mkhele comes in, Qhawe comes in, the whole Zulu gang comes in, and then they take a bucket and they splash them with water to wake them up because they were sleeping. Splash them with water and they wake up, and yeah, Mkhele starts beating on Gwaza. And then Geja is asking for mercy, like he's asking them to let them go, that they'll disappear, they'll leave Joburg and never come back. But yeah, can they just like let them go, and they're sorry. And Gwaza's like, what are you apologizing for? What are you crying for? Stop it. You are a Majola. You don't do that. And Mkhele is busy beating Gwaza on the other side. And yeah, he's ready to kill them. And Kusana says no. And Mkhele's like, hey. And Qhawe's like, no, let's listen to Opudamdala and what he has to say. And yeah, this one is begging for their life. The younger one is begging for their life. The older one is basically telling them to go to hell. So they leave them, and it goes to the house in Buba, and it shows the people preparing for the funeral, and it goes to Zaya and Bani walking to some ladies, and Zaya is carrying a big bowl. And then she's like, how I was talking Mandisa, like, you let me really carry this thing, and Swane just laughs. And then she reaches the ladies there. It's two ladies, so they're busy washing pots. And then she puts the bowl down, and she says, can you please wash this meat for me? And they keep quiet, and then they start talking about how the devil is around and the devil is reincarnated, blah 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 blah. So she doesn't pay attention to them, but they're talking about her basically. And then Mahlomo comes and she walks up to them. She's like, oh, you know, I was looking for it because I wanted to wash it. And she's like, Uza, no, I asked the ladies to wash it for us. And she's like, oh, no, don't worry, I'll do it. So as she's about to take it, these two ladies are like, no, my God, no, it's okay, Nzoi wash. And it's just like, what is happening? Like, literally, both of them are literally fighting for this bowl. And she's like, no, and they're like, my God, we will wash it for you, don't worry. And the other one's just like, and then they grab the bowl from her and they take it. And so it's just like, and my mom was just like, Aibo, we happy. And yeah, she goes to her cousin. So she gets to her cousin, and her cousin's like, I've been working too much at the Zulu yard. My legs are even going to burn from this fire that I'm trying to punga. And then she says to Bani has to try and get the fire going because I can't tell. And Zaya's just like, don't burn my child, please. And then the cousin says to Bani, go and fetch more wood for the fire. So Bani goes. And then as they are talking about how, I think they were probably about to say that Zaya's bad at cooking because Zaya cannot cook. So I think her cousin was about to say that, and then her aunt calls her. Her aunt gets there, and she's like, hi, Uncle, Aunt P. And she's like, I'm very worried about your father, like, and I'm sorry about what happened with the cops and whatnot, and how I came at you, but I'm just really worried about him, and something's just like not sitting right with me. And she's like, but I told you what happened, like, I don't know where he is, and I tried to call everybody. I called his friends, I called the uncles, like, I can't find this man. And yeah, no, the conversation is very lengthy, so yeah, it took too much of my time. And then it goes to Mahlomo and Langa, and they are talking about how she says, yet. And Langa is like, oh, plus you need to go and get ready now. And she's like, yeah, people are starting to arrive. So as they are having their conversation, a car drives into the yard and stops right in front of them. And she's like, how bad, love. And then what's her name, Bontle, gets out of the car. She's like happy to see them, and Langa's like, hey. So she goes and she greets, literally immediately when she came out the car, Mahlomo's face changed. And she went and she hugged Langa. Langa's like, how are you doing? And she's like, I'm fine. And then she goes to Mahlomo. She tries to go to Mahlomo. And Mahlomo's just like standoffish, like she doesn't want anything. And then she's like, Hlomza. And she's like, Nfunanla. And Lux is like, Rito ati anguza kututin. She became a typical Zulu in that moment. So he tries to speak Tswana to her, and she's like, "I anguza kututin." And she's not even looking at him. She's looking that way. Not even at Bunte. She's literally looking that way. And then Lux is like, we're here to, he tries to speak to her again, and then he's like, no, we're here to support you. And Matlum was just like, I need phone support you, I mean. And Langa's like, hi, bo Matlum. And she's like, and then he keeps quiet, and he's like, yeah, I'm phone pain the foot. And then Langa's like, but what about Buntle? And it's like, I won't like I lut. Hilo, I am fundla. Uluham. Literally with a straight face, like ngicela uhambe. And then she's like, Langa's like, but they're already here. So I mean, and she's like, ngicela kahle. Ngicela uhambe. And then she walks away. Literally walks away. And Langa's like, but I will look after them. And yeah, she's done with the conversation. And Buntle calls after her, Hlomza. No, Hlomza is gone. I understand, Hlomo. Like, Lux is always there for all the wrong reasons. I mean, like, he already started investigating again. Like, his grave is literally calling him. Like, his grave, his ancestors are telling him, you need to come home. You need to come home because, nigger, you do not want to write that story. You do not want to investigate that story. But anyways, yeah, Mahlomo goes, and then it goes to Ngoba's tavern, and it goes to Ngoba's bedroom, and Ngoba's there. He's sitting on the bed, and he's having a smoke. I think he's also drunk. And then he looks to his side, and he touches the guns on the side. So there's two guns. So he picks up one, and he rubs it against his hands. And then it goes to Mbuba again, and it goes to the Zulu wives sitting there. They look so good. Like, if they got funeral clothes wrong, wardrobe would have needed a lot of help. But yeah, they look really good. Like, when they have like glasses on, like makeup's on point, outfits on point, and they have fascinators on and big glasses on. And then it goes to Qhawe and Qhawe. So Qhawe walks towards Mqhele, and Mqhele's just like, where's Ngoba? And Qhawe's like, I've been trying to call him, but like he's not answering. And then they go out, and they fetch the coffin. So it goes to them coming in again into the marquee. And then Lux secretly takes a photo with his phone, and Buntle's just like, what are you doing? You see why Mahlomo didn't want this man here. This is the reason why. Because he's so sneaky and so snaky. Like, oh, gosh. So, yeah, he does that. And then it goes to Hlomo and Zaya. And Hlomo's just like, where's Ngoba? And Zaya's like, yo, I don't know. Like, I think Ngoba and Mandisa are having problems, and I doubt they're going to come. They last saw him at the funeral parlor at the mortuary when they were washing the body. But yeah, I think him not coming, he's going to regret not being here for his brothers and for his brother. And then my fam's like, yeah, no, he definitely regret it. And then, yeah, guys, Zayoni there, they are singing. They are singing. Those people, that choir that they get for such things, they are on point, guys. They know how to sing. They know how to kifa. Lit. And then the bishop asks for Kusana to come up and speak for the family, on behalf of the family. So he stands up and he goes to the podium, and yeah, he starts speaking, and then it goes to Lux and Muntle, and Lux is like, I need a favor, and Muntle is like, hey boo, you can't be talking about work right now. So as they're having this conversation, I don't know if they're loud enough for someone to hear them, but like there's a lady who's sitting there and she's looking directly at them, or maybe it's just me. But yeah, and then it goes to Kusana again, and yeah, he's speaking, and then Lux says to Buntle, like, I really need you to do this for me. Like, I need you to get Tlomo's phone. And Buntle's like, why would you want me to do that? And then he's like, well, I am following the rules. I need to send it in for he says he needs the serial number so he can send it in for registry at the office. But like, wasn't she supposed to leave the phone? If it's a work phone, she was supposed to leave the work phone at work when she left the laptop. Like, it's always like that. Like, it makes no sense for him to want to register the phone after she's gone. And then he says he also did it. And I mean, like, you're her boss. Why are you asking me to get the phone in a shady manner? And Mutlu's like, no dude, we are at a funeral, I'm not going to do that. And then Kusana thanks everybody for coming to the funeral. Goes to Qhawe, and he's on the floor now, like in front of the bed, and he says his clan names, and he starts crying, like he breaks down. He's definitely drunk, and so it's like a simultaneous thing. So it goes to him, and then it goes to the brothers. Goes to the brothers at the graveyard, which is within the yard of the home, and they are about to throw soil into the coffin and into the grave. And then Spanish starts. He's the first one to do it, and then it shows like the brothers from an up angle, because it's all of them around the coffin. And then they start throwing okay, it's not soil, instead it's petals, which I don't understand. Like, it always has to be soil. Black people need to stop that petals thing. It's not supposed to be petals, it's supposed to be soil. And yeah, funeral parlors also need to stop changing tradition. But yeah, they do that. And then Tiga is crying, Mkhele is also breaking down, and Qhawe on the other side is also breaking down. And then it goes to Mqoqi, and he is kneeling in front of Sambulo's grave, and he says, I am gonna protect this family always. You have passed on the baton for me to protect this family, and that's gonna be exactly what I'm gonna do. Come hell or high waters, today I'm going on a hunt. So I don't know what hunt that is, maybe to kill the Majolas, but yeah, he says that. And then it goes to Hlomo, and she's sitting alone, and Bontle goes to her, and she's like, are you fine? And she's like, no, I'm fine. And then she's like, I'm sorry for what happened earlier on. Like, she apologizes for what she said to them when they got there. And she's like, it's just that Lux, like, I don't trust him. And Bontle still asks for her phone, like, still asks for Mahlomo's phone, to use Mahlomo's phone. Girl, I trusted you. Like, I thought you were a day one. Like, I thought you were ride or die for your friend. But you can't do that. Like, anyways, Mahlomo agrees to give Bontle the phone. Bontle takes the phone, and she's like, okay, I will bring it back to you just now when I'm done. Mahlomo says, okay. And then goes to Bani having a nightmare. Guys, kuse mini. Ulele kanjani mini. Kuse mini. Inside the blankets, he's sleeping. So it goes to Spanish, and yeah, he's having a nightmare, and it's his grandfather in the dream. It's his grandfather in the dream, and he is saying that Zaya needs to pay for her crimes, and she will not go any, and there will not be peace if she doesn't. tell the truth and apologize, and that he will live within Usbani. And yeah, so he holds him and starts shaking him and says he is going to live within Usbani, and if Za does not tell the truth, then he will make his life a living hell, basically. And then he's like screaming, and his mom and dad hear him, and they go and they run into the room and they wake him, and he starts crying. And they ask him what's wrong, and he's just like, he was here. They're just like, who was here? And he's like, Umkhulu. When I saw that, immediately when I saw that, I thought of Sisegelo. Those who have read the books know who Sisegelo is, but Sisegelo is Oli and Sambulo's child who was gifted in seeing the dead. So yeah, he was the one seeing Umkhulu during the whole Za thing, before Za became a wife, because Umkhulu didn't understand why Za was at their home when the proper procedures have not taken place. But yeah, Segelo was seeing Umkhulu. Umkhulu was giving him signs of what he didn't like in the house. But yeah, it's yeah, I thought of that. So yeah, he's like, yeah, Umkhulu was here, and he said he has a message for you. So he's telling Za that Umkhulu gave him a message for her, and he said that there will not be peace, and that he's gonna live within me. And Za's just like, what? And Kusana's like, we can't talk about this in front of the child, we'll talk about it. And then it goes to Lux and Buntle. Lux is getting into the Buntle is getting into the car to give Lux the phone. That's why I need to, guys, Emini. How is Spanish sleeping? Emini. Like so she gets in the car and he's startled, and she's like, yeah, here's the phone. Like, I had to tell some serious lie to get it, like some crazy story. So what are you gonna do with it? And he's like, don't worry, just give me some silver thing by the door. So she gives it to him, and then he opens it, and she's like, yeah, no, I'll be fast, and you can just go and say your goodbyes, because afterwards we're leaving. And gets out of the car and says, you need to hurry up because I need to take back the phone. And he's like, yeah. So he opens the phone. I don't know, I thought in my head, well, when I saw it, I thought he was stealing the information, but later on you guys are going to find out what he was doing. And yeah, he has a big smile on his face. And then it goes to the brothers. They are dragging the Majolas behind a van. So they are all sitting at the back of the bakkie, and they have them tied to a rope. So they are dragging them like this. So the car's driving, and then they're dragging them. And if they get too forward or whatever, then they kick them. So yeah, it's like that. It's like a little torture tactic. One of those crazy hillbilly movies. So yeah, they do that, and then they stop, and then Kusana gets out of the car, and gets just like crying as he has been. Kusana tells Ntia to come and untie them. So Ntia goes and unties them, and then Kesha's like, thank you. No, man, they're not letting you go. What do you think this is? You're not going anywhere. Well, you're not going anywhere alive, that is. So he says thank you, and then Kusana gives a gun to Gwaza, gives one gun to Gwaza, and is like, this is yours, like, you can go. And she's like, yeah, Hamban. And Gesha really thinks they are letting them go, and then I don't know if it's Qhawe or Naledi who shoots the gun up, and then they tell him to start running. Then they start chasing them. So they are running through the woods, and they start chasing them. So it's like them hillbilly, I told you, hillbilly movies, like Your Wrong Turn, stuff like that. Yeah, they are chasing them down. It's like they hunting their prey. So Gwaza looks at the gun and he says to his brother, you go that way, I'll go that way. And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill these guys. He looks at the gun, and inside the magazine there's literally one gun. So he's just like, oh, these dogs. So yeah, they are playing a game with them guys. So they hide, both of them, but Geja tries to shoot one of the guards, and then that's his only bullet, and he gets shot also by Qhawe at the back. And then Qhawe is taunting Geja. Oh, Gwaza gets shot by Qhawe, and Qhawe is taunting Geja and telling him to come out like a rabbit. And then finally Geja comes out, but he attacks him from the back, and Mqoqi is on standby with his rifle, and he shoots Geja on the back, and him and Qhawe fight, and Qhawe beats him, and then he says he must shoot him, and the other brother also is saying that, and then Kusana says to Gwaza, sayonara, and shoots him. And the other one also, he dies. Finally, guys, I was so sick and tired of these brothers. Like, I was tired. But now they have another problem, which is Lux. So it ends there, and then it moves on to episode 33, which is titled Nude Parade. I don't know why it is titled that, because there's nothing nude, there's no parade, and also the synopsis of the episode was very confusing. But anyways, it opens up with Zah, and she's packing, and Kusana comes in and is on the phone and is trying to find Ngoba. So he tells Zah this, and then Zah says he's busy concentrating on other people's business instead of concentrating on their business, and the reason why she has such a dark cloud is because of that cleansing they did with that sangoma of his when they put her in the river. And yeah, so now they're arguing, going back and forth, and then she says Qhawe and Mandisa are together and they're happy, and she's like, you're talking about Mandisa, the same Mandisa who burnt 80 million that I worked so hard to collect to get you out of jail. And she's like, oh, Mandisa wouldn't do that. Haha, sis, Mandisa definitely did that. Your peto, yes, your peto didn't tell you that she burnt your money, and that's why he had to be released from prison illegally. But anyways, they have this argument, and then Kusana decides to leave because he was about to blow. And then he goes to Masomu, and goes to Lux, and he's in his office, and he's just like thinking and thinking and thinking. Something is just like grinding in him. And then he calls Mashomu, and she picks up, and he's like, he needs to see her like ASAP. She's like, no, I can't come in, I just came back from Mbuba and I'm tired. And he's like, it's not a request. So yeah, he hangs up on her, and then it goes to Zah in the kitchen, and the two boys come in, and Spani's like, Mom, I'm hungry. And he's like, yeah, I know, boy, I'm making you guys food. So as I am about to make you eggs, you guys need to butter the bread. So as they are about to butter the bread, Spani sees a reptile on top of the table. Like, I don't know where it came from, it just appeared from out of nowhere, and he starts screaming, and I was like, no, it's not gonna hurt you, it's not gonna hurt you. And then she goes to them. Kusana comes in and sees this thing there, and Spani's like, I saw it in my dream, it turned into Umkhulu. Kusana takes the thing and takes it outside. And then it goes to Naledi at the hospital. She's coming out the door, and Qhawe is standing by the door, and yeah, he's stalking her as always. And she's just like, what are you doing here? And he's like to her, I want to take you out for lunch. And he's like, you're stalking me again. And she's like, no, I'm not. So she tells him that her shift begins at 1, and then he asks her what time is your lunch, and she says at 12:30, and he says, I'll be here at 12. And then she's like, which clever person gave you my work address? And he's like, it's just love. And she's like, okay, then I need to go because I am busy. And then she goes, and then it goes back to Zah and the child, and then she is just asking him like, what do you mean you saw this in the dream? And he's like, yeah, I saw it in the dream, and it turned into Umkhulu. And she makes him sit, and Kusana comes back, and he's like, everything's gonna be fine. And they give him something to drink, and then they tell him to go to his room, and he will be there soon. And then he goes, and then Kusana's like, you know what we need to do, Za. Like, let's stop beating around the bush. We know what we need to do. And then she's like, what? And he's like, this is a message, and we need to go and see Isango. And she's like, oh, you want me to go back to that place of that guy who gave me this dark cloud in the first place? And he's like, I don't care what it is, but we need to do something about this. This is a message, and we need to fix it. And then it goes to Qhawe, and he's at the parking lot, and he's talking to the security guard, and the lady gives him a call, and she's like, where are you? Because I can't see you anywhere. And he's like, I'm on your right. So she stays on the phone, and then she sees him, and she's like, what is going on? And there's like a table set up there. He did it like in the book. So they did it like in the book. The whole table set up at the parking lot of her work. And he literally has all her favorites. And she's like, how did you pull this off? And he says to her, she says, I'm going to get fired. So he's like, no, I already spoke to your boss. So yeah, nothing's going to happen. So we're just going to have lunch. And she's like, how did you know all my favorites? And he's like, well, when you love someone, you need to know everything about them. And yes, this is like blushing. The chemistry this week is better than the past 2 weeks, but still, it's not giving, man. It's not giving Naledi and Qhawe. So she keeps on saying Qhawe, and he's like, no, it's Qhawe. So she said Qhawe, and she's like, no, my tongue is too difficult, I can't do this. And he's like, no, it's fine. So she says to him, so you're trying to score brownie points? And he's like, oh, what is that? She's like, oh, Azulu wazo typical. Oh. And he's like, what does me being Zulu have to do with anything? And she's like, you don't know what brownie points are? And he's like, no, I just know that you get brownies from the store, the cookies, right? And she's like, yes. So she's like, no, you're doing well. And she's like, oh, you like it? And she's like, yes, I do. And then it goes from them, and it goes to Mahlomu, and she is entering Laxa's office. And he says, close the door behind you. So she does. She sits down, and she's like, I wonder why you called me in here when I'm still on leave. And then he says to her, so I know why you threw away the CTI story. And she's like, yes, I told you why I did it. And he's like, no, you did it because your husband and his brothers are involved in the heist syndicate, right? And she's like, how sure are you? Because now you are accusing us. And he says, then tell me it is not true. And she says, you know, I wrote that story, and then some of the information was not reliable. And he's like, that is BS. You searched, and then you found out that it was too close to home, and then you abandoned the story. And she's like, well, Lux, if you are too sure, if you are that sure about it, then Hlanganisa story was published. Because you will also see that this is a BS. And I know what I'm doing, and I love my job. And I won't sit here and allow you to treat me like this and talk to me like this. And then she stands up and she walks out. And then Lux sits there, and she's just like fuming. It's like thinking. And then it moves from them, and it goes to Ngoba. It goes to Ngoba, and he is stopping at some house and is asking this lady, have you seen this person? You're the one who said you have seen this person. And this lady's like, yes. And he's like, can you point me to the house where you saw her? And he's like, no, I can't, but I can give you the address. And then she gives him a piece of paper, and then he takes some money and gives it to her. And then he drives off. And then it goes to Mqoqi, and he's at Ngoba's tavern, sitting there like he's in a daze. And then he gets a text message, and this text message, it's not the first time that it's coming from the same person. It's the second time that this person has texted him. So the message says, it reads, because I can't remember, it says, silent predators never die, we always pounce when they least expect it. And I think it's Sambulo. I really think he's not dead, guys. Like, for some reason, I really think he's not dead. But anyways, you never know. Stained glass. And then Tsiga comes and he's carrying alcohol that he stole from the tavern. And he says, since Ngoba's not here, so we can drink. And Mkotli is not interested in that. He just stands up and he leaves. And he's like, how? So you're just gonna go, Nje? And he goes. And then it goes to Ngoba driving around and asking questions and asking where, if they've seen this person, asking where this house is, and nobody is telling him anything. So he's basically coming up empty. And then it goes to Shlomo, and she's in her car and she is on the phone with her husband. And she's like to Mkele, I like and he's like, why? You mean your boss? Why? What's wrong? And she's like, and he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, he keeps on asking me questions about this. I heist, our family, our business. And he says to her, do you think he knows about Uzandile? And she says, I don't think he knows, but he talks like someone who knows a lot. And who knows what he's talking about. And then, it goes to Lux, guys. He's listening in on the conversation. So he placed a bug in Mahlomu's phone. I thought he was stealing the information on her phone, but he actually put a bug. That is illegal, but anyways. And then Mkele is like, la la la. She is a dinsam. And then he's like, I'll see you at home. Yeah! Lux is dead, guys. Dead. I think he also realizes that he is dead. And then it goes to Kusana and Zaya, and they're at the Sangoma, and the Sangoma is basically telling them that they have a dark cloud over them and blood in their hands. And he's like, Uban lo inizinai, and he's just like confused. They're confused about who is talking about, and he's like Umvelo, and he's like, no, the older one. And he's like, Usman. He's like, yeah, basically what is happening, your father wants you to apologize to him, make peace. He wants to be at peace. He wants his body to be at peace. He wants to be cleansed. Also for you to tell the truth, and he also wants to live in Bani's body. And Zandile's like, Kanjani, because she's married, which is the truth. Kanjani, because she's married. Ufuna guti usbani abize isbongo sa sakangobo. So he says it's like, no, dad wants you to change Bani's surname to Ungob. Excuse me, old man. He is my child, and Utengiwe basically, because Zah is married. So he says that, and then he says a whole lot of stuff, that their hands are bloody and Bamsinda, and they need to do this ceremony, and yeah, they need to change everything, and blah 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 blah. So they don't ask any questions, they just agree with everything that this guy is saying. But like, when you're consulting, aren't you supposed to ask questions? Because I mean, what he's saying is nonsense. So he's like, yeah, no, you guys are heavy, you need to leave, get out of my place, go and make sure that you do what I'm telling you. So they stand up in a hurry and they leave, and then it ends basically like that. So I mean, yeah, nothing exciting except for Lux digging his grave and the Majola brothers being finally dead, guys. I'm so happy about that. I am so happy. Like, you have no idea. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with the whole Lux story, and Shlomo is definitely implicated. I mean, there's recordings now, so anything could happen. But yeah, that's this week's episodes. So like, comment and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching.